can't sleep. The tension was too much. Every time I peeked over my bedroom window, I saw him standing there. He was about 100 feet away, across the street, under the tree by the lamppost, frozen like a statue. I first spotted him around 1 a.m. He stood there for hours. I couldn't make out his eyes from the distance, but I knew he was looking straight at me. I knew this because my room is on the second floor of the house, and his head was pointing upwards. Everything about the man was odd. I've never seen anyone like him. There was a mailbox a few feet from him, and it was half his size, but the tree shielded almost everything else. I waited and waited for him to step forward so that dusty, old lamppost would illuminate him in its yellow glow. I couldn't sleep knowing there was a black figure of a man stalking me from under an oak tree across the street. I got closer to the window and waved at him. I tilted my head up and put my hands on my hip. I leaned forward and squinted, engaging him in a stare down. Nothing. I didn't see anyone else out on the street, not even those pesky raccoons. That night was eerily quiet and hopelessly dark. Even the moon was hiding. I dragged a cushioned chair to the window and continued to watch. I put one foot on the frame and sat back. I let out a strong yawn. My eyes began to droop, and my guard fell. I woke up in my chair and learned that I had been asleep just 5 minutes. I almost forgot why I was sitting in the chair, until I looked out the window in front of me. He was still there. At that point, I thought of calling the cops, but I didn't. What if he's homeless? Am I really going to call the cops on some poor man? I couldn't even prove he was doing anything to me in particular. So I sat back in my chair and watched. Something finally caught my eye in the corner of the window. A dog made its way on the sidewalk towards the man. It was a big German shepherd, wagging its tail and sniffing each and every trash can it passed by. I leaned forward as I saw it get closer to the man under the tree. The dog stopped and tucked its tail between its legs, watching the man and tilting its head in confusion. It got close enough until it was right at his feet. That's when everything became less visible. My nose was against the window. I was so close. My eyes widened like that of a child's at the sight of candy. And that's when I heard it. The dog let out a sharp yelp. I opened the window and put my head out as much as I could to get a better view. But I certainly wasn't heading downstairs to go outside and confront the man. I did go downstairs to phone the police. As I waited for them, I kept my eye on the man. He was in the same place, same posture, same eerie atmosphere. I was sure the dog was dead. I heard its unmistakable cry, followed by complete silence. It was dead, and that psycho across the street was the one who murdered it. But then I heard a bark. It came from exactly the same spot where the man was. I couldn't believe my eyes as I stepped closer to the window. For the first time since I saw him, the man moved. It looked like he was kneeling. He wasn't as towering as he was before, so I'm sure he was kneeling or something. And every time I heard a bark, his head would move. He was barking, and it sounded exactly like that of a dog. The police arrived. I had told the operator that there was a man standing across the street from my house, and that he killed a stray dog when it walked up to him. The cop parked his cruiser pretty far and began walking towards the man. I felt like opening the window and screaming, "Yes, sir, he's right there. Be careful, I think he's dangerous." But I didn't. The officer stood there and spoke with the man for about 10 minutes. Well, the officer spoke at him. It didn't look like the man responded to the questions at all, and the officer grew agitated. I think I learned a lot about body language from this ordeal. I looked away for half a second, and a loud bang rumbled the window. There was a gunshot. I ducked under the frame and crawled under my bed. It was silent for a while. I crawled back toward the window and looked over. The officer was dead. A puddle of blood began to slip into the sidewalk drain. My heart wanted to leave my chest. I almost vomited anxiously. I attempted to pick up the phone 3 different times, but each time my hand would grow weak and drop it. I couldn't contain myself. As you could imagine, I wasn't prepared, bodily or mentally, for what came next. The man stepped forward. That old lamppost dressed him in night yellow, and I could finally see him. The thing is, he looked exactly like the officer, the one laying on the sidewalk dead. He mimicked the dead officer's movements. Everything from the way he walked to his mannerisms when he spoke. It looked like he was even impersonating the way the officer was questioning him those 10 minutes before, and he was naked. By the time the cops arrived, the man was gone. I explained everything to them over and over again. They questioned me for the next few days. I checked the window every time before bed since that night. I'd even check when I got up in the middle of the night for water or to use the bathroom. But most of the times I got up to check were when I had woken up from violent nightmares. After some time, comfort came. I believed for a moment the man was gone. But don't we all do that? Don't we all participate in some form of naivety or another? Especially when we desperately want to believe something. I had another nightmare. But there was something different about this one. Different in the sense that it felt real. Very, very real. But I remember times when I'd think back on memories and couldn't decide whether they were dreams or reality. Sometimes we mix them up. This was one of those times. In this dream, or nightmare, I was sleeping in bed. I wake up startled to a sensation on the back of my head. A cold one. Like someone put their hands on me. And as I turned around half asleep, my eyes barely catch someone leaving. I just see their foot for a split second as they get out of sight. And that was the end of the dream. Well, maybe it wasn't a dream. Maybe someone really did walk into my room and touch the back of my head. Because one night I received the following phone call from my friend. "Bryce?" I answered. "Hey," he replied. What's up? Everything okay? Why are you calling so late? You think you're funny, Mason?" I paused for a second. "What?" I got up in bed. "Well," he began, "I was getting ready to go to bed. Then I look out my window, and guess who I see standing outside my house at 1 a.m.? I paused again, confused. "Who?" "Mason, you're really not funny. Who goes this far for a prank?" "I have no idea what you're—" My heart. "Bryce, listen. That man outside your house is fucking dangerous. Call the cops now," I said. "Oh my God, you're really committing to this, aren't you?" "Bryce, I swear to God it's not me. I'm at home. It's the same guy who was stalking me just a few days ago." "Why does he look exactly like you?"